Welcome to Practice Test Geeks. In this video, we will test GRE practice test. This includes verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning. Write your answers aside, and check them with their explanations at the link provided in the video description. Enjoy your test and good luck. Verbal reasoning. This test will measure your ability to analyze and draw conclusions from discourse, reason from incomplete data, understand multiple levels of meaning, such as literal, figurative and author's intent. Summarize text, distinguish major from minor points, understand the meanings of words, sentences and entire texts, and understand relationships among words and among concepts. There is an emphasis on complex verbal reasoning skills. Directions. For questions 1 to 9, select the word that best describes the sentence. Question 1. Poverty is a relative measure that depends on prices, the standard of living, and the blank that others earn. A. Amounts. B. Incomes. C. Monies. D. Pays. Question 2. Afterwards, they had to deal with some major and blank wars as well. A. Minor. B. Minor. C. Mining. D. Miners. Question 3. A knack for blank, it can be argued, allows one access to a whole range of careers, many of which require one to forsake direct, honest speech. A. Eloquence. B. Prevarication. C. Equivocation. D. Abbreviation. E. Discernment. F. Openness. Question 4. The movie is comprised of several vignettes, each presenting a character along with his or her foil. A state accountant shares an apartment with a blank musician. A tight-lipped divorcee on a cross-country road trip picks up a blank hitchhiker. And finally, and perhaps most unconvincingly, an introverted mathematician falls in love with a blank arrivist. Blank 1. A. Colorful. B. Insatiable. C. Eminent. Blank 2. A. Garrulous. B. Untrustworthy. C. Forlorn. Blank 3. A. Unpredictable. B. Gregarious. C. Bumbling. Question 5. Although blank continues on minor points, the blank themes of the general's plan have been accepted. A. Discussion, peripheral. B. Debate, central. C. Dissension, cultural. D. Discovery, main. Question 6. Recent advances in research methodologies and neuroscience have created excitement in academic circles, and have blank greater interest in funding new research projects in the field. A. Stymied. B. Intensified. C. Magnified. D. Engendered. E. Multiplied. Question 7. It comes as no surprise that societies have codes of behavior. The character of the codes, on the other hand, can often be blank. A. Predictable. B. Unexpected. C. Admirable. D. Explicit. E. Confusing. Question 8. Like Bela Bartok, Ruth Crawford not only brought a composer's acumen to the notation of folk music, she also had a marked blank, the task. This was clear in her agonizing over how far to try to represent the minute details of a performance in a written text, and this blank makes her work a landmark in ethnomusicology. Blank 1. A. Reverence for. B. Detachment from. C. Curiosity about. Blank 2. D. Fastidiousness. E. Didacticism. F. Iconoclasm. Question 9. For some time now, blank has been presumed not to exist. The cynical conviction that everybody has an angle is considered wisdom. A. Rationality. B. Flexibility. C. Diffidence. D. Disinterestedness. E. Insincerity. Directions. For questions 10 to 12, choose the opposite of the given word. Question 10. Changing. A. Lightweight. B. Cautious. C. Immutable. D. Delicious. E. Soft. Question 11. Opaque. A. Old-fashioned. B. Angry. C. Improper. D. Outdated. E. Transparent. Question 12. Skeptical. A. Fast-acting. B. Punctual. C. Depressed. D. Credulous. E. Effervescent. Directions. For questions 13 to 15, choose the letter of the correct answer to complete the sentences. Question 13. Proponents of urban development oppose the popular notion that social psychological mechanisms leading to criminal and other antisocial activity are more likely to blank, if blank, such as anonymity and population density are found. A. Emerge, traits. B. React, factors. C. Disappear, problems. D. Fail, criminals. E. Function, cities. Question 14. The legends of any tribe serve to explain, and even embody, its blank. By examining a people's most popular blank, one can determine the things they most deeply cherish. A. Origins, legends. B. Religion, pastimes. C. Beliefs, customs. D. History, rituals. E. Values, stories. Question 15. The recent birth of the septuplets has spawned many newspaper articles presenting blank accounts of medical problems associated with multiple births, blank. The initial heartwarming stories about the septuplets that dominated the press. A. Depressing, minimizing. B. Various, contradicting. C. Dispassionate, obscuring. D. Sobering, counterbalancing. E. Detailed, substantiating. Question 16. Opposite of proficient. A. Antiseptic. B. Unwilling. C. Inconsiderate. D. Neglectful. E. Awkward. Question 17. Opposite of delude. A. Include. B. Guide. C. Reply. D. Upgrade. E. Welcome. Question 18. Opposite of circumvent. A. To go the straight route. B. Alleviate. C. To prey on one's emotions. D. Scintillate. E. Perceive correctly. Directions. For questions 19 to 20, select the lettered pair that best expresses a relationship similar to that expressed in the original pair. Question 19. Surgeon, is to operating room. A. Chiropractor, is to doctor. B. Novelist, is to panel. C. Conductor, is to symphony hall. D. Truck driver, is to rest stop. E. Fan, is to performance. Question 20. Pleased, is to overjoyed. A. Dirty, is to squalid. B. Thrilled, is to happy. C. Determined, is to decided. D. Perceptive, is to unaware. E. Deliberate, is to accidental. Questions 21 to 23 are based on the following passage. The condition of scholarship devoted to the history of women in photography is confounding. Recent years have witnessed the posthumous inflation of the role of the hobbyist Alice Austen into that of a pioneering documentarian, while dozens of notable senior figures, Marian Palffy, whose photographs of civil rights activities in the South served as early evidence of the need for protective legislation, to name one, received scant attention from scholars. And, while Naomi Rosenblum's synoptic history of women photographers covers the subject through 1920 in a generally useful fashion, once she reaches the 1920s, when the venues, forms, applications, and movements of the medium expanded exponentially, she resorts to an increasingly terse listing of unfamiliar names, with approaches and careers summarized in a sentence or two. Question 21. The author of the passage cites Rosenblum's book most likely in order to A. Suggest that the works documented most thoroughly by historians of women in photography often do not warrant that attention. B. Offer an explanation for the observation that not all aspects of the history of women in photography have received the same level of attention. C. Provide an example of a way in which scholarship on the history of women in photography has been unsatisfactory. D. Suggest that employing a strictly chronological approach when studying the history of women in photography may be unproductive. E. Provide support for the notion that certain personalities in women's photography have attained undue prominence. Question 22. Which of the following statements about Marian Palffy is supported by the passage? A. Marian Palffy's photographs would have received greater recognition from historians had her work been done in an era when most aspects of photography were static rather than in a state of transition. B. Alice Austen has achieved greater notoriety than has Marion Palffy, primarily because the subjects that Austen photographed were more familiar to her contemporaries. C. In addition to providing a record of certain historical events, Marion Palffy's photographs played a role in subsequent events. Question 23. In the context in which it appears, inflation, line 2, most nearly means A. Exaggeration, B. Acquisition, C. Evaluation, D. Distortion, E. Attenuation. Question 24, is based on the following passage. At a certain period in Earth's history, its atmosphere contained almost no oxygen, although plants were producing vast quantities of oxygen. As a way of reconciling these two facts, scientists have hypothesized that nearly all of the oxygen being produced was taken up by iron on Earth's surface. Clearly, however, this explanation is inadequate. New studies show that the amount of iron on Earth's surface was not sufficient to absorb anywhere near as much oxygen as was being produced. Therefore, something in addition to the iron on Earth's surface must have absorbed much of the oxygen produced by plant life. Question 24. In the argument given, the two portions in boldface play which of the following roles? A. The first is a claim made by the argument in support of a certain position. The second is that position. B. The first is a judgment made by the argument about a certain explanation. The second is that explanation. C. The first expresses the argument's dismissal of an objection to the position it seeks to establish. The second is that position. D. The first sums up the argument's position with regard to a certain hypothesis. The second provides grounds for that position. E. The first is a concession by the argument that its initial formulation of the position it seeks to establish requires modification. The second presents that position in a modified form. For question 25, refer to the following passage. In the past 10 years, there have been several improvements in mountain climbing equipment. These improvements have made the sport both safer and more enjoyable for experienced climbers. Despite these improvements, however, the rate of mountain climbing injuries has doubled in the past 10 years. Question 25. Which of the following, if true, best reconciles the apparent discrepancy presented in the passage? A. Many climbers, lulled into a false sense of security, use the new equipment to attempt climbing feats of which they are not capable. B. Some mountain climbing injuries are caused by unforeseeable weather conditions. C. Mountain climbing, although a dangerous sport, does not normally result in injury to the experienced climber. D. In the past 10 years there have been improvements in mountain climbing techniques as well as in mountain climbing equipment. E. Although the rate of mountain climbing injuries has increased, the rate of mountain climbing deaths has not changed. Questions 26 to 27 are based on the following passage. The earliest form of painting, used by Egyptian artists, was with colors ground in water. Various mediums, such as wax and mastic, were added as a fixative. Today, this is known as tempera painting. The Greeks acquired their knowledge of the art from the Egyptians, and later the Romans dispersed it throughout Europe. They probably introduced tempera painting for decoration of the walls of their houses. The English monks visited the continent and learned the art of miniature painting for illuminating their manuscripts by the same process. Owing to opaque white being mixed with the colors, the term of painting in body color came in use. Painting, in this manner, was employed by artists throughout Europe in making sketches for their oil paintings. Two such drawings by Albrecht Dürer, produced with great freedom in the early part of the 16th century, are in the British Museum. The Dutch masters also employed the same means. Holbein introduced the painting of miniature portraits into this country, for although the monks inserted figures in their illuminations, little attempt was made in producing likenesses. As early as the middle of the 17th century, the term watercolors came into use. Questions 26. An appropriate title for this passage could be A. The history of drawing. B. The origins of watercolor. C. The origins of painting and watercolor. D. The difference between painting and drawing. E. The complexities of art. Questions 27. The passage states that A. The Romans introduced tempera painting minimally. B. The Greeks dispersed tempera painting throughout the region. C. Tempera painting and color was employed by artists in Europe. D. The English monks used portraits as a means of communication. E. Artists disagreed about the effects of tempera painting. Questions 28 to 30 are based on the following passage. It is generally allowed that Guyana and Brazil, to the north and south of the Para district, form two distinct provinces, as regards their animal and vegetable inhabitants. By this, it means that the two regions have a very large number of forms peculiar to themselves, and which are supposed not to have been derived from other quarters during modern geological times. Each may be considered as a center of distribution in the latest process of dissemination of species over the surface of tropical America. Para lies midway between the two centers, each of which has a nucleus of elevated tableland, whilst the intermediate river valley forms a wide extent of low-lying country. It is, therefore, interesting to ascertain from which the latter received its population, or whether it contains so large a number of endemic species as would warrant the conclusion that it is itself an independent province. To assist in deciding such questions as these, we must compare closely the species found in the district with those of the other contiguous regions, and endeavor to ascertain whether they are identical, or only slightly modified, or whether they are highly peculiar. Question 28. The author's main point is that A. The fauna and flora of Para are distinct from both the flora and fauna of Guyana and the fauna and flora of Brazil. B. Para supports a very large number of ecological distinct habitats. C. Ecological considerations override all others with respect to Para. D. It has not yet been determined whether Para is an ecologically distinct district. E. The government of Para has historically not been supportive of biological expeditions. Question 29. The scientific methodology the author of this passage recommends following is A. Tracking migration patterns from both Guyana and Brazil to Para. B. Disseminating information about indigenous species to the scientific community. C. Comparing and contrasting Para's indigenous species to those of Guyana and Brazil. D. Hunting for peculiar species of flora and fauna, wherever they may be located. E. Initiating a longitudinal study of species evolution. Question 30. This passage supports all of the following statements. A. Guyana is a center of distribution for the dissemination of species. B. Careful attention to detail will be essential in resolving the questions raised about the Para district's flora and fauna. C. Brazil's natural geographic features include a nucleus of elevated tableland. D. Guyana is a distinct province with regard to fauna and flora. E. Para is situated between two distinct river valleys. Quantitative reasoning. This test will measure your ability to understand, interpret and analyze quantitative information, solve problems using mathematical models, and apply the basic concepts of arithmetic, algebra, geometry and data analysis. There is an emphasis on quantitative reasoning skills. Question 31. Which two of the following numbers have a product that is greater than 60? A. -9. B. -7. C. 6. D. 8. Question 32. Each employee of a certain company is in either Department X or Department Y, and there are more than twice as many employees in Department X as in Department Y. The average, arithmetic mean, salary is $25,000 for the employees in Department X and is $35,000 for the employees in Department Y. Which of the following amounts could be the average salary for all of the employees in the company? Indicate all such amounts. A. $26,000. B. $28,000. C. $29,000. D. $30,000. E. $31,000. F. $32,000. G. $34,000. Question 33. Suppose you begin reading a book on page H and end on page K. If you read each page completely, and the pages are numbered and read consecutively, then how many pages have you read? A. H plus K. B. H minus K. C. K minus H plus 2. D. K minus H minus 1. E. K minus H plus 1. Question 34. If m is an even integer, then which of the following is the sum of the next two even integers greater than 4m plus 1? A. 8m plus 2. B. 8m plus 4. C. 8m plus 6. D. 8m plus 8. E. 8m plus 10. Question 35. If b minus c equals 2, and a plus c equals 16, then a plus b equals A. 8. B. 14. C. 16. D. 18. E. 32. Question 36. Jim's hardware store normally sells bulk nails at $1.09 a pound. There is a sale of 3 pounds of nails for $2.19. How much can be saved by purchasing 9 pounds of nails at the sale price? A. $1.89. B. $3.24. C. $4.29. D. $5.34. E. $9.90. Question 37. Based solely on the information in the graph, approximately how many hours per week does the average 27-year-old spend watching news on television? A. 2. B. 5. C. 8. D. 10. E. 20. Question 38. The age group that spends the greatest number of hours per week watching sports on television spends approximately what percent of its total television viewing time watching programming other than news, entertainment, or sports? A. 4. B. 10. C. 16. D. 22. E. 33. Question 39. What is the approximate ratio of the average number of hours per week that the youngest age group spends watching televised entertainment to the average number of hours per week that the other two groups combined spend watching the same type of programming? A. 3:4. B. 1:1. C. 5:4. D. 5:3. E. 5:2. Question 40. Distribution P is given as 22, 1, x, where x is the median. Distribution Q is given as x, 0, 3, where x is the median. Column A. The standard deviation of distribution P. Column B. The standard deviation of distribution Q. A. The quantity in column A is greater. B. The quantity in column B is greater. C. The quantities are equal. D. The relationship cannot be determined from the information given. Question 41. M college students agree to rent an apartment for $D per month, sharing the rent equally. If the rent is increased by $100, what amount must each student contribute? A. N plus 100, over D. B. D over M, plus 100. C. D, over M. D. M, over D plus 100. E. D, plus 100, over M. Question 42. In the figure above, the centers of all three circles lie on the same line. The radius of the middle-sized circle is twice that of the smallest circle. If the radius of the smallest circle is 1, what is the length of the boundary of the shaded region? A. 12p. B. 6p. C. 12. D. 3p. E. 9. Question 43. Line A is parallel to line B. Column A. The measure of angle 1. Column B. The measure of angle 2. Compare the quantities. A. If the quantity in column A is greater. B. If the quantity in column B is greater. C. If the two quantities are equal. D. If the relationship cannot be determined from the information given. Question 44. If the length of a rectangle is increased by 20%, and the width of the same rectangle is decreased by 20%, then the area of the rectangle? A. Decreases by 20%. B. Decreases by 4%. C. Is unchanged. D. Increases by 20%. E. Increases by 40%. Question 45. A right circular cylinder has a volume of 175 pi cubic units. Both the radius and the height of the cylinder are positive integers. Compare the quantities. Column A. The radius of the cylinder. Column B. The height of the cylinder. A. If the quantity in column A is greater. B. If the quantity in column B is greater. C. If the two quantities are equal. D. If the relationship cannot be determined from the information given. Question 46. If the distance in miles between cities is shown in the table above, which of the following statements are true? 1. Springfield, Fort Wayne, and Toledo lie on a line. 2. Indianapolis is the midpoint of the line segment connecting Toledo and Springfield. 3. Indianapolis, Toledo, and Fort Wayne are the vertices of an equilateral. A. Only 1 is true. B. Only 2 is true. C. Only 3 is true. D. 1 and 2 are true. E. 2 and 3 are true. Question 47. Refer to the table shown above. The life expectancy for 40-year-old black females exceeds that for 40-year-old white males by A. 0.9 years. B. 1.3 years. C. 3.8 years. D. 4.5 years. E. 5.9 years. Question 48. Life expectancy for 60-year-old females is what % higher than that for males of the same age? A. 0.12%. B. 1.20%. C. 3.96%. D. 5.12%. E. 8.97%. Question 49. 8% of the people eligible to vote are between 18 and 21. In an election, 85% of those eligible to vote who were between 18 and 21 actually voted. In that election, people between 18 and 21 who actually voted were what % of those people eligible to vote? A. 4.2. B. 6.4. C. 6.8. D. 8. E. 8.5. Question 50. If n and p are both odd numbers, which of the following numbers must be an even number? A. N plus p. B. NP. C. NP plus 2. D. N plus p plus 1. E. 2n plus p. The practice test ends here. Please check your answers in the link provided below. Subscribe for more practice tests, and get updated for the newly uploaded practice test videos. Thank you, and good luck.